Hello, Fan Nation. I'm Richard Tiemann, the host of The Fan Show, and normally we begin these episodes on a high note with energy and enthusiasm, a big smile, and a joke or two. But I would be naive to think that I can simply come on here like every other week and ignore the reality of the world around me. And some realities are simply too harsh to ignore. But on the same note, I don't feel it's fair to my special guest Billy Back to have a dark cloud or a shadow cast over what was a great interview segment and what was supposed to be an otherwise great episode. So I'm going to acknowledge the events that have been happening today, and then we will move on to our regularly scheduled programming, because in fairness, it's important to acknowledge that some things are simply bigger than sports. But also, this is my gift to you, the people of Fan Nation, as an escape from those harsh realities. And I still want to deliver on that promise, just like I do each and every week, that this is a place and a show that you can watch and feel good, laugh a little, and just relax and unwind and forget about everything else going on. However, as you may know, the Milwaukee Bucks have boycotted Game 5. As a result, the remaining games slated for today and tonight have been postponed for the NBA playoffs. And this is in wake of the recent police shooting and tragic killing of Jacob Blake. And I can't help but feel like, regardless of this one or another one or George Floyd, if you look over the last 6 months of these things happening and people's reactions, we just really need to get along. There's things that are so much more important in life than petty differences. So I hope that we can stop killing each other, really. It breaks my heart that this is what I see through my Facebook feed when I'm missing birthdays, weddings, and some funerals because of a pandemic, and then I have this also that really just hits me deep, because I want us to try to enjoy things to the best that we can, and then things like this happen and it kind of puts a damper on that. But also, I don't understand why a person's criminal record is somehow used as an excuse for something that did or didn't happen. It just baffles me. A doctor doesn't get to review an ER patient's criminal record before they operate on them and try to save their life. A life is a life. And whether or not a person has been in jail once, 5 times, or 10 times, they still deserve to have their life treated with the same value as the next person. And I know that there's always going to be exceptions to these rules, if you want to call them that. And maybe this most recent one wasn't like the others for one reason or another, regardless of what your political beliefs may be. But we need to remember to value life, and that some things are just simply more important than petty differences. So I encourage you all to just really get along and love one another. And whether or not you think something was justified because of this reason or that, at the end of the day, a life ended. A life. Think about your life, your friend's life, your family members' lives, and how you would feel if they were suddenly ended before their time or when they didn't need to be. How that would make you feel. Would you want someone to use anything as an excuse to justify it or not? You still have to mourn that loss. So those are my thoughts on the matter. Some things are bigger than sports, and for those that are choosing to have a voice and take a stand, I applaud them. This may or may not be the best time for it, but really, what is the best time for something like this? Actions speak louder than words. So I encourage those that are choosing to use their platforms for the betterment of humanity. Good for you guys. So now back to the fan show. Sorry if I lost any viewers, likes, or followers, or even friends because of that statement, but that's how I feel on the subject. This has been one of the most difficult episodes to start, but here we go. as I mentioned, breaking news out of the NBA. The 3 games that were scheduled to happen will be postponed. And it started with the Milwaukee Bucks, who simply decided to not leave their locker room. And then the Orlando Magic returned to their locker room, and it appeared that they were not going to have a game tonight. So we will monitor the situation and see what's going to happen next. It is round 2, or just about round 2 of the playoffs. The Miami Heat, the Boston Celtics, and the Toronto Raptors had all advanced, while the Lakers, the Jazz, the Clippers, and the Bucks were 1 win away from advancing. NHL playoffs are also in their second round. So for those of you that are hockey fans looking to get your hockey fix, we do have playoff hockey happening, and we're getting one step closer to the Stanley Cup. The Las Vegas Golden Knights against the Vancouver Canucks, Colorado Avalanche against the Dallas Stars, the New Jersey Islanders against the Philadelphia Flyers, and the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Boston Bruins. That is round 2 of your NHL playoff picture. Best of luck to all the teams. I'm not the biggest hockey fan, but hey, it's live sports and it's the postseason, so what more do you need to get excited about hockey happening right now in a bubble? Bubble is still working, which may or may not be the case for the NFL, who is not doing a bubble, but more and more teams are electing to start their season, their home season anyway, without fans in the stands. And that is one of the hot topics recently, even in the wake of everything else going on. It was announced last week on the episode, as I mentioned, that Seattle will play its first 3 home games at least without fans in the stadium. And then yesterday, I saw that 49ers and Arizona Cardinals will play without fans in the stadium, and both LA teams, the Chargers and the Rams, will play without fans in the stadium, and the Bengals will play without fans for their home openers. More on that, obviously, as we get closer to the season, which is just 15 days away, a little over 2 weeks. So if you're having a hard time getting through, if you're not a hockey fan, if you're not an NBA fan, and if 2 weeks is simply too much to bear, well, maybe there's something for you on Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, or Netflix. So we have a new recommendation for you from our guys at the Real Film Nerds for this week's Real Film recommendation.
How's it going, everyone? It is Matt and Mike once again from the Real Film Nerds podcast. This week, we watched a little Netflix original movie that came out on August 14th called Project Power. Mike, give us the rundown real quick.
All right, so when a pill that gives its users unpredictable superpowers for 5 minutes hits the streets of New Orleans, a teenage dealer and a young cop must team up with an ex-soldier to take down the group responsible for its creation. This movie is starring Jamie Foxx, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Dominic Fishback, and directed by Henry Joost and Ariel Schulman.
Mike, what do you think? Should people go watch this movie?
I was surprised. Yeah, I was surprised by it. I really liked it. Just go for it. It was fun.
Mike, I agree with you. I thought it was a fun movie. It's not very thought-provoking. It's interesting. It's unique. It's a different take on the superhero genre. I say go for it. Why not? If you got the time, it's not a super long movie. It was almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
You got 2 hours. Definitely well worth a watch. All right. Well, I guess that's it from us, man. Mike, you got anything?
No. Check us out at the Real Film Nerds when you get a chance.
And that's REEL, not REAL. We're on all the socials. And if you don't know how to spell it, here comes our slide right afterwards. Take it easy.
All right, thanks guys once again for the Real Film recommendation. Make sure that you give their page a like and a follow, and subscribe to their podcast, Real Film Nerds. Battlebots! We've got robot fighting time. It is back. I am so excited for this, and it was announced in a teaser, but then follow up with the actual announcement. Greg Munson, you crafty devil you. But he tweeted out a photo of the giant nut with the year 2020 on it. And then it was placed on one of those big calendars. You couldn't see the month, but oh man, was it exciting to see that. And then it was officially announced that Robot Fighting Time is drawing near. October is the month for the tapings for this new season of BattleBots. Will I be there? Will I not? I have to wait and see. Media, fans, and everything else, I'm sure that they're taking every precaution necessary. The tapings do happen in the state of California, so I'm sure there's a lot of CDC guidelines that they need to adhere to. So I will wait and see what my fate is. Maybe I'll be part of a team this year. I don't know. I would love to be part of a BattleBot team and compete for that giant nut. Is this the year that could happen? We shall see. In other news, this week in fan show history, 2 years ago, 2018, the National Arena League Championship featuring the Columbus Lions versus the Carolina Cobras. This was a great time for me. 2018 was really one of the best years for the fan show as far as the fan show tour and all the different things that we got to do. Comic-Con, BattleBots. I mean, really, 2020 has been a horrible year, especially if you compare it to 2018. You compare 2020 to any other year, it's probably a terrible year. But 2018 was prime fan show, and I'm hoping we can have another year like that in 2021. But I've been seeing all the memories come up. Craig the Leg winning the Special Teams Player of the Year, and just his attire. He was dressed up like some, mobster, some gangster, some bouncer at a club. I love him to death. Amir Ishmael, the Coach of the Year. We heard from him last week on that episode. And then they would crown a champion, the Carolina Cobras. Wow, 66-8. Coach Billy Back would hoist that trophy, and he's who we have on the show tonight, episode 469. It's a great conversation that you will not want to miss. And before we get to that, I want to make sure that I've covered everything. I know I took a little bit more time in the beginning to get to here and the headlines, but hey, what do you do when circumstances call for you to ad-lib and kind of pivot at a moment's notice? The NFL is 15 days away, so just over 2 weeks, and they continue to do their testing. However, there's been some complications with the testing, and that is that there were 77 tests that all came back positive, but then were retested, and then they came back negative. There's 5 labs doing testing for all 32 teams, and I believe I saw a graphic today that there have been over 25,000 players tested and only 6 positive cases as a whole. So the NFL is doing pretty good to keep up their end of the bargain as far as trying to have sports live the way that we know and love them, and hopefully with fans sooner rather than later. And before I forget, I want to give a shout out to Dynamite Enterprises. We didn't do our normal headlines portion of the show like we do on every other episode. We will get back to that next time. So make sure that for all your custom needs, polos, stickers, hats, beanies, things like that, that you hit up Dynamite Enterprises at dynamiteenterprises.com and check out their Instagram. And before we get into the interview portion of the show, you think I forgot, but I didn't. We've got another great recommendation for those of you that are musically inclined and want to just sit back, relax, and zone out to the soothing sounds of whatever it is that you're into. And for that, we go to the fat bearded vinyl guy. Matt, what are you spinning today?
Hey F.A.N. Nation, I am Matt, the fat bearded vinyl guy, and I am in the vinyl lair. Today I am spinning Jazz Sabbath. Jazz Sabbath was formed in 1968 by jazz pianist Milton Keynes. The self-titled debut was slated for release in February of 1970, but the record was shelved after Keynes suffered a heart attack and was in a coma. Add to it, the warehouse containing the master tapes burned down. When Keynes left the hospital in September of 1970, the label was out of business, and the owner was in jail. Adding insult to injury, a band from Birmingham who just happened to call themselves Black Sabbath, by that time had released a pair of albums that contained rock versions of what Keynes claimed were his songs. The master tapes were thought to be lost in a warehouse fire, but were accidentally put in the basement of the recording studio. These tapes were found in late 2019 and released this year. A YouTube documentary was also produced in February documenting the Jazz Sabbath story. At least that's what the mockumentary states. Jazz Sabbath actually is the brainchild of Adam Wakeman. He played with Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne on tours. In 2013, a security guard for Black Sabbath asked Wakeman if he could play the Sabbath set on the piano in the bar they were in. He thought it would be a good idea to play jazz versions of the Sabbath set. The record contains jazz versions of Sabbath classics like Fairies Wear Boots, Iron Man, and Children of the Grave. This is a well-produced record, and if you're a fan of jazz, it's a good listen. If you're a fan of Black Sabbath, it's an interesting listen. And if you're into both, like me, it's a must listen. I hope there's more in the future. It's a great concept and very well done. Also, the YouTube documentary is very funny and worth checking out. That's all for now. For more music talk and vinyl shenanigans, go to fatbeardedvinylguy.com. You'll find links to my social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as the YouTube channel.
And thank you, Matt, once again. I love his recommendations. I really do. There's a few things I want him to do for the Fat Bearded Vinyl Guy. He mentioned Weezer last week and how their cover of Africa wasn't really a great cover. It was just kind of them playing the song. I want to know what some of his favorite covers of all time are. And I even have a few covers that I want his feedback on. See if he thinks that they hit the mark for what he believes is a great cover. If you missed that one, well, go and check it out. All available on his YouTube channel. Make sure that you like and follow the Fat Bearded Vinyl Guy for anything music related. He's a rocker, and I hope you are too. But hey, you know, maybe he'll get around to vinyl records of hip-hop and rap or country. Who knows? But thank you, Matt, once again. That will bring us to our interview portion. I had a great conversation with Coach Billy Back. So without further ado, any more delay, here he is, the coach of the Spokane Shock. Enjoy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you wanted it, you got it. He is the head coach of the Spokane Shock, my good friend Billy Back. Coach Back, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back on. And the new Zoom aspect.
I know. This is nice to talk face-to-face, and you got some retro throwback swag on now because the Eagle has been retired. Look at me. Look at I got Empire stuff. I don't have Shock stuff yet, but I mean, like, how good do I look in orange and blue? Like, look how dressed up I got for you.
I know. We need to get you back in the orange and blue, so if that person out there that does the hiring is listening, we need to get you back in the orange and blue. Just stop dragging our feet, make it happen, because best man in the business right here, best in the biz to run your media department. So I'm all for you. I'm in the corner.
Free agent in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I never thought I'd see the day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least you don't have to wear the mask and stuff in Sioux Falls, and you guys are wide open there, right?
Yeah, no restrictions. Of course, it is encouraged, but, you know, things never really, I feel so bad. My parents, of course, family and friends back in Washington, and you were there, you know, when it hit the fan, and, like, what was that like for you? Because you guys finally left, but clearly you were there when everything just really got into the thick of it.
This is my take on it. You know, we couldn't wait to get back here to see our family. You know, we're 2,500 miles away from home, and, you know, the wife and kids need to see their grandparents. And so I drove the dogs 30 hours here. She flew with the kids. She says her travel was worse than mine, which it probably was, because the dogs didn't say a word back to me. They didn't complain the whole time. They didn't whine about having to go pee. We just cruised for 30 hours. It was pretty nostalgic and peaceful. So I'm looking forward to that drive back. I'm looking forward to get started and actually be able to do football.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot to look forward to. Now, of course, you're in the league, but you're not one of the, you know, board of directors or expansion committee, so you may or may not know what's actually happening, because there hasn't been an official announcement made regarding the Cedar Rapids River Kings, the San Diego Strike Force, or even the Oakland Panthers. Now, let's assume that Cedar Rapids and San Diego have to cease operations for either a season or indefinitely, but at the same time, Columbus now has a name, even though they'll start 2022. But for 2021, we've welcomed the Massachusetts Pirates and now a new team in Prescott Valley, Arizona. Turnover is nothing new at this level. How do you feel, though, about the future of the IFL in regards to strong ownership groups and expansion?
I'm excited. I mean, I think, I got the pleasure of sitting in the owners' meetings last year, and it was pretty awesome. I mean, everybody's in there working together, pulling the rope the same direction. And everybody has their own opinions, and they speak it. And I know the Cedar Rapids San Diego situation is as is, but I hear there's works on the edge to keep them. So adding Massachusetts, that's a quality franchise. Jawad does a great job. The presentation of that team is second to none. So to get an East Coast present out of Massachusetts, which I feel is the top team in the NAL because of just the budget they have. I take it back. Sharks are the Jacksonville Sharks are pretty solid too. Getting those guys on the East Coast to build the East Coast side, along with Columbus, and then Prescott now, and possibly some new ones coming into. I just feel like the direction the IFL is going is going to be a fun thing to watch unfold and a great league to compete in. I mean, you still got the big dogs in Arizona and Sioux Falls that you're going to compete year in, year out for the championship. Thelma and Massachusetts, who's going to be competitive and always have good players. But then you add travel, easy travel for Tucson and Arizona with Prescott, and hopefully get some things up north by us. But it's going in the right direction. And I feel like that, the ownership and the leadership of the IFL and Todd Tryon is taking it to new heights and new ventures. And I'm excited to be a part of it and looking forward to, what the next big announcement is in the IFL.
Yeah, we're clearly not done with the expansion announcements, whether it be for 2021 or 2022, because both of those seasons were on the table last I talked to Todd Tryon. And I think it would be naive for someone to assume that a league like the IFL could get through what 2020 has thrown at us unscathed. We were going to see teams, have to either postpone for a season, like what happened with Columbus and the Wild Dogs. They said, you know what, 2022 is going to work better for us. And then now you have Cedar Rapids and San Diego kind of in question as far as what's going to happen with them. Will they be back, and will it be under the same ownership, new ownership? So these are the kind of things that we're used to seeing. But when I talked to Todd Tryon before the season had to be postponed and then eventually canceled, he said he liked the direction that the league was going because they were starting to get into a position where they could turn teams away if they didn't meet the criteria that is, what we want for our league to continue to grow and thrive. And I think that spoke volumes. Do you feel like the IFL is finally at that point now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't want to add filler teams just to add teams, because those are the teams that usually are non-competitive on the field, or they cease operations during the season and just set you back a little bit. So I think the direction they're doing with getting the quality teams in, going for quality, not quantity, per se, but just wanting to be competitive and be around the teams that we're in, with Prescott coming in and, even like, Bismarck, they're sticking around and battling through things. They're going to be a force to reckon with. So you got teams that you feel like weren't going to be great coming in for the CIF, their move, and now they're doing well. And I just, to be a part of it, just to see this thing grow from coast to coast is going to be pretty awesome. That brings in, nationwide sponsorships and, of course, nationwide travel. But whether you fly from Columbus, Ohio to Cincinnati, you're still flying from Spokane to Massachusetts, 3 time zones. But at the end of the day, it's part of your job. You got to deal with it and get over it. And plus, a flight from Spokane to Mass beats a 8-hour bus trip any day.
You guys out in Spokane have unveiled your new uniforms, which look extremely sharp. Recognize those Orlando Apollos helmets that look just really good, and the white, the orange alternate ones. So bravo there. You guys have done a really good job. all the signings, making sure that your squad, the vision you had going into 2020 will carry over into 2021. You guys look like you're set to compete. And without playing a single snap or a single down, you already have a target on your back, as Jawad has said that he's coming for Sam Adams and Spokane at the press conference to announce Massachusetts. How you feel about being one of the big dogs already, your first year back in the IFL?
He didn't mention anything about Arizona and Sioux Falls, so I mean those are the ones I'd be worried about. But I appreciate it. I mean, he's a competitor. And you have a 1-4 record against somebody, I guess you will call them out. But it is what it is. Sometimes you got to aim for something. Maybe not aim for the moon, aim for the star. I don't know what the old saying is, but calling us out, not the big dogs. I hate to watch that Arizona Sioux Falls Massachusetts game when it's a different game. I mean, that Sioux Falls offense isn't easy to prepare for. And if you're looking to compete with us, you need to worry about compete with those guys. We haven't done anything in the IFL. We had a great roster signed. We got a lot more great signings to come. But at the end of the day, we've got potential to be good, which we all know potential means you ain't done shit yet. So, we're excited. I'm glad he's in the league because he's going to be competitive. It's going to be fun. Booster's a great place to play, great city, and he puts a great product on. And I was happy to get them in the IFL because it's another quality team with strong ownership. But at the same time, don't bark at the wrong tree. There's some bigger oaks out there than us.
It does open up a world of possibilities as far as potential matchups for the regular season and potentially the postseason, as far as, like you said, Arizona, Sioux Falls, and then, of course, Iowa. Your friend Amir, he says hello. He's looking good to take over the reins for the plane and the goggles there in Des Moines, Iowa. So I'm ready for indoor football. As soon as we can get it, the better. But have there been any talks as far as what you've been looped into as far as contingencies? We've seen the NBA bubble, it's a success, but the IFL may not have the resources to pull that off. But it needs to at least be a discussion because we don't know what's going to happen with the NFL season just yet. So in your mind, is there a plan out there or should there be one discussed at this point?
I don't know if there is or isn't. I'm not into that information, but I do know November 5th should be a different scenario in the country. After the election is over, there may be freedom, I should say, I guess. But it's a good thing we start in March of 2021 and not, September or October like the NFL or the college season. So they still have to deal with that. But I'm hoping by February that all this is under control. So we're trying to live our lives and push forward. So, but hopefully by March, we have a clear view of, hey, we can play. We're going to be out on the field. I'm focused as if we are playing in March. I'm ready for camp. March, I think 3rd, starts spring training camp. Then I guess the first game is the 13th. The Hall of Fame game, and the next week is regular season starts. So, whenever that is, we play. We're focused on that schedule to come out ready to rock and roll. But at the same time, if the crew, the commissioner, and the league leaders decide to postpone, push things back, then I'm 100% behind them, all for it. Because the safety is the most important thing. As long as that's the thing. As long as that's the concern. As long as it's not something financial or political, I shouldn't say financial, because we need fans in the stands for us to be successful. But as long as it ain't something political, and it is about safety, then we'll be ready to rock and roll with that too. So, we're just excited to play.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see it. There's so many great matchups potentially set for 2021. We just got to have the season, and I think we're on the right track, so I'm glad that you're fired up. I know a lot of people that really are, but I think, what else would you expect from people that have gone so long without the teams, the players, and the sport that they love so much? So you'll have to let me know when you come through this part of the country on your drive back in that nice big fancy shock truck of yours so we can say hello to you and wave you on.
I plan on getting a picture in front of every team's office on the way back. and then I'm going to post it every time we play them and say, hey, look, practice looked good today. We were just there. Everybody think we were spying on them. I'm sure we'd get fined or something for it, but they would actually probably think we would really do that. But now I'm going to go into I'm going to go into Sioux Falls' office and buy a T-shirt on the way back. So I'll stop in there. We'll have some lunch. What's the good breakfast spot there in Sioux Falls?
Let's see. Frying Pan's a good spot, like a Midwest.
What's the old pregame spot we used to go to, like the Spinning Fork or something out there by the mall?
Royal Fork closed.
Did it really?
Yep, victim of COVID-19. It was heartbreaking. There's an actual Royal Fork Day now in Sioux Falls, the day that they had their last day of business. We had been there a couple of times. Yeah.
I know the owner there he was a big Storm fan. He would always, talk trash to us, but he was a great host. It was great food. I mean, he was awesome. And we enjoyed, going there. So I have to find out where he's at if he opens anything back up.
Have to get you some Flyboy donuts and send you back with those, fatten you up a little bit.
Well, I'm on a diet. I've been eating. It's been miserable. I was about 210 when we got here, and my wife hugged me and put her arms around me. She's like, "Wow, you're square. You're like SpongeBob SquareBody." I was like, "Really?" So I've been on a diet and trying to trim up. Polo season, I guess, is coming up, so I got to look good in the polo, but I can't eat donuts. I love donuts. I'll eat a whole bag of chocolate donuts in one setting. And I just made my mouth water thinking about them.
Fan Nation, this is proof that Billy Back is the content that we need right now. So, Billy, I wish you the best as you continue to visit your family in the Midwest. So make sure that they're staying safe, staying healthy, and hopefully we can get back to our regularly scheduled programming with everything we'd like to look forward to in the spring and summertime with the IFL. But, hey, thank you so much for taking the time to join me here. It's been great to catch up with you.
It was great talking to you as well. You look good in that blue and orange this year, so we'll hopefully see you back in Spokane soon. I'm not sure I like the Empire shirt. Maybe we could put a bib on there to cover that up or something. You don't have any shot gear?
No shot gear. Your chrome hats those look sharp. I was jealous. The hats with the chrome plates. Yeah, no shot gear though.
We'll have to get you one. Maybe I have to send one to you. What size you wear?
I'm an XL or an L, depending on if it's 100% cotton or a blend. And then hat, snapback, or if it's fitted, medium to large.
Okay. I'll have to get Andrew O'Connor on it if he's watching. Get that over there to Richard. So, but yeah, we love you. Love what you do. Appreciate what you do. Just keep kicking. Something's going to break for you big time. So you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So keep shooting.
Well, I'm going to keep shooting, bud, and I thank you very much once again. He is head coach Billy Back of the Spokane Shock, coming to us live from Columbus, Ohio. You take care now.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati. Oh, my. Okay, that was a close one. Cincinnati, Ohio. Oh, no. I just said the wrong city in Ohio.
It's terrible. I can't wait to beat Columbus in 2022, put it that way. So, Wild Dogs, you're in for a wild treat. So,
yeah, listen to that. All right, you take care.
All right, Richard, good talking to you.
And thank you, Billy Back, for joining me on the Fan Show. Always a pleasure to have him on. We always have a good laugh. He's one of my favorite personalities and coaches in the Indoor Football League. I cannot wait for 2021. Where will I be? Nobody knows. We'll see where I end up for the 2021 season. Will it be right here in Sioux Falls continuing to do fan show things, or will I be part of the league or a team? Really flexing my skill in the media and communications department? I don't know. There's a lot of time left, like Billy said, between now and kickoff. But man, to have actual dates, I am stoked. A Hall of Fame game? Fire me up, Nick Hague. All right, folks, that's going to do it for episode 469. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast if you can't watch us on YouTube or Facebook, and that is through Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. But I encourage you to listen and watch because we're always doing fun things here on the stream portion or version of the show, and that is available every Wednesday on our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook page. So give us a like and a follow on all major social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So until next time, remember, it's not official unless it's Fan Show official, and I am officially a college graduate. I mean, I was on June 26th when they announced, but man, I got the paperwork to prove it. There it is. Yeah. Fan Show Official. So until next time, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.